Hey, Sutesh.
Hey Max, how's it going?
Oh, not bad. You?
Yeah, good, good.
Good. Let's see, I actually didn't open the meeting notes yet. I should probably do that, huh?
Yes, same. I am just getting stuff ready.
Loading, loading, loading. It looks like Jay has half a discussion item. Oh, no, he's still typing into it, maybe? Yep, okay. There it is.
Oh yeah, I think we are due for the release. That's great.
Hello,
Hey, how's it going?
going good. How about you?
Oh, it's all right. Oh, I should say I will be out, not this week or this coming week, but like basically the 23rd through the 3rd. So, um, just FYI, in terms of like if you're expecting me in meetings or anything like that.
All right. I won't bother you.
What's this?
I was just joking. I was like, yeah, I won't bother you
You
during that.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, no, I mean you could try.
Yeah, I will also be out, but not for holiday reasons.
uh, good times.
Yeah, so I'll be out probably on like starting end of this week, for like a month or so.
Right. That's a good time to be out. Got them
Yeah, I think
holidays.
everybody's out for like the holidays and stuff. So yeah.
Did
Uh,
we have anything? Oh, sorry, go.
I'm just gonna say let me ping Rita.
Uh,
uh, Rita is summoned.
Hello.
Hello.
how's it going?
Good. Been a while for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to see you.
So uh, what's the latest here?
Yeah, we
Release?
have one agenda item from Jay. Jay, did you want to speak to that one?
Yeah, we released RC. on Thursday, when do we want to release actual 3.18? Like latest RC we released on Thursday.
I think we're probably good starting around now.
Okay, I can cut a branch today.
Any objections from anybody?
Ship it.
No bug reports or anything, right?
I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I didn't notice any as well.
I'm double checking the milestones. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, past due by about 1 month.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, let's start the release today then. Are you good to start the PRJ and let us know and I can approve?
Yeah. I actually am working on a automation that will update the Kubernetes version in our CI pipelines to test with every release. So I might raise that PR up just to test it out with the release that we are doing. But if I can't do that right today, then I'll actually cut the release anyways. I won't block on it.
Oh, sounds good. This is the one that creates the table?
No. This is so we have latest 3 Kubernetes version that we test with in our CI, right? And that
Yeah.
gets outdated time to time. So I'm trying to figure out if we can fetch the 3 latest version available with every gatekeeper release, so that it
Oh,
gets updated in the CI as well.
I see. So basically, fetch it from the kindness node.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love all the automations. Yay.
Yeah, that's great. I think we can also do that for the Helm. I mean, this can be follow up. Yeah. And also on I think Gatekeeper library, we should probably do that
Yeah.
for Gatekeeper too. So to the automations.
So I was looking at the library today and I was like, oh god, these gatekeeper versions are very old.
Yeah.
That's where I got into the rabbit hole of updating versions.
Yeah, I think you could generate a list, and then after that, you basically create a matrix from the list. We use that in some of our other projects.
Do we want to look at are you done, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to look at 319 and see what else we can add? Or is this a good list? Let me put it in. Oops. Wrong day. Also we have a few PRs out there for the VAP stuff in library. I know I have two. It's like I know Jay, you have some, maybe Max, you have one. It's like severely stale. Do we want to try to get that done before the end of the year, or we just like, oh, it's next year's problem? I don't know.
Next year.
Yeah.
We should try. Thank you. I wouldn't feel too bad if we fail personally, right? Because like end of the year is kind of like a distracted time, but they have been sitting, so
Yeah.
and that's an indictment of me as much as everyone else. So yeah,
Okay, I mean, if we want to, then let's spend the next 2 weeks, maybe get those across the finishing line. Because I think if it's next year, it's just gonna be even harder for me to remember what the hell I did.
but then you can review your own code and it would be
True.
a valid review.
True,
Like,
but then it will be like, what did you mean by this? Because I don't remember any of it.
and then past you would just never respond. Yeah, no, that part wouldn't be good.
Mhm. Okay, so then is 319 looking good to folks?
I actually have a PR up for what was the issues? Wait. For 3497. I'll tag it in the issue as well. So that's part of the 319 milestone. So
Oh, okay.
Pull request
Oh.
3497, you said?
I mean, it's already in the in the milestone. I was more asking, is there anything we want in the milestone, but not yet? Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that says it all.
yeah. Oh, I have one. Sorry. I'll mark it as 390. Yeah.
Do we want to look at the most thumbs up issues and then see if we want to pick from those?
Sure.
I can share my screen if that's easier. Let me see. Okay. How do I do this in Zoom? Share. Okay. Think you should be able to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So these are the ones. I think we go through these every time.
Indeed.
What do you think about this one?
Can you go to the very bottom to refresh my memory? What was discussed the last time?
Yeah.
Boy.
You reopen this. This is a long one.
Yeah, I mean, if people have cycles, I'll be blunt. I don't really have development cycles right now. But if people have cycles and they want to work on this in this time, it's a reasonable feature to have.
Mm.
Anything else we would want to pick, or I mean, it sounds like this is the most one by far.
I mean, there's pubs. Like honestly, we're overfull. Like because the goal is to have this in 3 months, right? And
Mhm.
our velocity is not very high right now, right? Like JDIP's time is mostly taken up with the pub sub stuff, and like if anyone's working on mutators, I likely won't have very many cycles, as I've said, for this release. I don't know, Surtesh, Rita, what your availability looks like to contribute, but we're already approaching wish list territory, even with the
Even with
feature.
what's already in the list. Yeah.
Yeah, this is more like, hey, like if there's anything that would like community wants, we could say, hey, like instead of doing one of these, we would pick up something else.
It's fair.
Okay. Yeah, if we don't think anything is like extremely urgent from these ones, I don't think we need to do any action. This is more like just to visualize.
Actually, can you go back to 319 and then can we prioritize things?
Yeah.
Maybe. Modify
Can I
pub.
note these ones? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Pub sub, you can move that one down too.
Yeah, I did.
Because that one is more evaluation.
Which one?
This one. The first one, sorry.
Okay. When you say this one, I don't
Well,
know.
your mouse was on that, but there might be a delay, yeah.
So I put LM engine to the bottom.
Yeah, so you can put it at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah. What about this one? The mutation?
Yeah, that one, move it to the bottom. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try to get to it when I have time, but I think like these seem more like in line with what the project needs right now, especially like PubSub and OPA 1.0, I think.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
This is a very like a simple change on like
Mm-hmm.
2 lines.
Do we want 3683 as well to be up in the priority? Just because if you want to move VAPB VAPB generation to beta, that might be a good change to have.
Sure, let's move it.
This one, 3683?
So
Yeah.
that's the one where we say, hey, the waiting period is over, essentially, and that's hard coded in. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it de-risks things.
I mean, ideally we want the feature to make progress, right? Every release, ideally.
Yeah, and I did run across some information where like clock skew does get more likely with things like node reschedulings, like things like snapshot migrations, right? Where they preserve memory and state and all of that. So maybe it's not as edge casey of a concern as I was suspecting when I was talking about it earlier.
Okay.
We said we want to move to the top, or
Maybe before, maybe, sure. Yeah, it
here?
doesn't matter. I think the top few are pretty much the same, I guess. Like priority wise, I guess. By the way, how much of OPA 1.0 can we do in 319?
I think it depends on when is OPA 1.0 comes out.
Or what's the risk, I guess, right?
Like the risk should be 0, like, because the main thing in terms of like not backsliding is to be able to continue to upgrade OPA without breaking users, right? So we could address CVEs, and that hopefully we could just do by setting that flag that Charlie was talking about. There, it could be that there's some internal parsing changes that invalidate Rego rewriter code and constraint framework or whatever. Like that is a risk. Longer term, yeah, like supporting OPA 1.0, the language is probably also a good user goal, but that's that is lower priority than do not leave people in the lurch.
Right.
Yeah, I think the top priority is basically supporting the backwards compatibility flag for now, and then we can circle back on the 1.0 features.
Yeah.
And I think for the backwards compatibility flag, we need the actual 1.0 version because the flag does not exist unless there is a version.
Yeah, it's a chicken and the egg problem.
Yeah.
Like, so what this is going to look like is they're going to cut the release and we're going to try to use it, and it either like fails or it doesn't.
Yeah, I think so.
Like either we have a small fork with a flag change, or we have a very big fork where, or not fork, sorry, patch, to constraint framework with a flag change or a very big one that overhauls Rego rewriter.
Do we want to move this to the top then? Obviously, this is pending availability for 1.
I mean, that's the problem, right? Like, you don't want to prioritize before there's anything to do, you know?
Yeah, true.
I just added the PR in the chat that Jay added just to make sure we track it. It's
This one, 3646?
yeah, because they didn't have a milestone before. Okay. I mean, I think
Oh, I think we already had this one. The issue is 3497, right?
Yeah.
These are these are the same thing.
I see. Okay. Yeah, sometimes we put both the issues in the PR.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Yes.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. And I think if there's extra cycles, like I think it's mostly J, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can look at what are some good issues for J. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think we necessarily need to include those in a milestone at that point, right? Like, if we have extra cycles, we could just be like, oh, okay, what do we want to do? Because the thing with the milestone stuff is it's kind of sticky, right? At least historically, whatever like doesn't get completed in a milestone that we're like, oh, actually that wasn't necessary, it gets like bumped to the next milestone. And so we like accidentally kind of like turn a nice to have into a like, hey, this should really get done, and sort of, you know, maybe its priority has shifted, its salience has shifted because time has moved on, you know?
Right. True.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice to haves also in here, and then there are some that don't really make sense, like this one we talked about.
I have a few issues that I assigned to myself. I'm gonna go and assign it to J because the likelihood that J can get it done is higher. Okay, I'm gonna do that right now.
Oh, I did.
Some of these are kind of old though.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the older ones. There was like quite a lot.
Okay, I'll add this to J.
You might want to add some text also, Rita.
Huh?
I have no idea what this is.
What?
Add some text to the issues, because like I have no idea what this issue is.
Are you oh,
I'm sharing my screen.
oh, okay, sorry. Its impact on referential policies.
Oh, this is I'm assuming this is like, if you're using data.inventory, just know that that state is not hermetic, right? That when you, if you're looking for like, hey, this host name is unique, right? And so you're scraping all hosts, not scraping, obviously, you're querying the cache for all host names in objects in the cluster. There is a risk of undercounting because there may be things that Gatekeeper hasn't yet ingested. And there's a risk of overcounting because there may be deletes that Gatekeeper is not processed.
Yeah.
And so you have inaccurate enforcement results, particularly if you're doing like bulk applies for objects that would affect the evaluation result of a policy. Audit ameliorates this somewhat. It's also maybe important to note that this is an inevitability. This is not like a design fault of Gatekeeper. This is the CAP theorem.
I mean, it's a cache.
Yeah, this is accurate. I added the description now.
Yeah, the why I say this is not a design fault of Gatekeeper is like, obviously it's not, but like, you just want to get that out in front because there's plenty of people who have referential policies that don't make those caveats.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, yeah, well, you know, if you're doing a comparison, just know this likely exists everywhere.
Okay. I'll update the comment in the top item if that looks good to you.
Yep, looks great. And I already assigned to Jay.
And this is also like a single line change in documentation.
Right.
Let's do this one. Also, this run.
I think this is useful.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Add number of audit errors to audit. Oh yeah.
I don't know about the name of it. I think we might have to backshed on the name.
Love those.
Yeah.
I suppose, you know, there might be some quibbling around errors in the last run. Like, exporting the number of errors as a metric, sure. I'm basically thinking about like the alternative of, is it a counter or is it a gauge, right? Like, are we looking to like chart the number of audit errors over time, and users can like analyze the delta and try to make conclusions, and you kind of don't need to worry so much about like scraping every, you know, location of the needle, versus gauge, right, where you're just like outputting a unique result for every audit run. And then you might get some like aliasing effects, basically, right? Like, how do you, what is the expected sort of like best way to consume the metric to make actionable alerts? Counter feels more intuitive to me, but that's more just a, usually these types of metrics seem to be counter based when I encounter them. Yeah, thinking out loud.
Yeah, just
What-
looking at the like on Kubernetes, it's always these are counts, I guess. Usually the errors, because then you in your like automation, I think you can
So
look.
count actually, okay, yeah. Do you mean like, okay, that sorry, that didn't actually answer my question in terms of like counter versus gauge, right? Because a counter is monotonically increasing. A gauge is still like a count. It's still a, you know, number of X, but it can like raise or lower. So things like QPS are counts usually, because, you know, it doesn't quite make sense. Like, what's your 0 point? And counts also have, I believe, some heuristics that are used once the integer rolls over, things like that. And so you, and the way they're ingested, you usually take like the derivative, right? You take the delta over a minute or whatnot. Gauges make a lot of sense for things that correlate to like config surface, right? Like number of constraint templates. No user is actually interested in like the number of constraint templates over time necessarily, right? They're like, how many constraint templates does Gatekeeper think are on the cluster right now? And what does it think about them in terms of their error state? However, errors ingesting constraint templates, like reconciling them, right? If that was a separate metric, and I think it is, very possibly a counter. Am I like beating a dead horse, or is this?
No, I'm just trying to see how we do this for other stuff. Yeah.
These are the ones that we have currently.
Aggravation.
Okay, so the ingestion stuff, Gatekeeper violations, I could say for sure is more like a gauge thing. Yeah, aggregation last value. Okay, so count versus last value. That's kind of the language that what's its face uses, open census or open telemetry.
So are you
We don't have to
thinking
like
last
decide
value?
now. I think we agree that we want to have this.
Yeah, and sorry, I was reading count as gauge, so I was maybe like speaking for no reason. Sorry.
Yeah, count is like a number, like 1, 2, whatever.
Right. Well, the salient thing is monotonically increasing again.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
I think the point is, as a user, what do you try to get out of this metric, right? Is how does the number of audit errors, how does that help you?
Yeah, and if it is like a count over time, then users can see like spikes, right? And when those spikes end really easily by observing the like absolute value, they can also detect thresholds of, hey, the error over time rate is high by like taking a time window, right? And like, oh, the number of errors over the past minute divided by 120 seconds, and that gives you the errors per second. Or maybe you want to actually take the peak because audit runs kind of relatively infrequently. And so that's a way you could kind of fake errors per audit run. Versus if you just have a gauge, that gives you more of the thing reporting the metric is the thing that gets to define your window of interest, right? And so there's a gatekeeper would be able to basically like say, okay, this error count is for the last completed audit run, right? But you would lose out on like more real-time reporting at that point, right? Because you wouldn't want to clobber the old value until you had the new value, which requires the audit run to complete. So there are pros and cons here for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can decide when we start the issue, I guess.
Sorry, what was what are we deciding?
I'm saying we could discuss when we start the.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This one is already in in 319. This is just making sure. I was just thinking we should do some comparisons and see if there's like feedback we could give back to the K8s one. This is the map stuff, if you remember.
This is the map stuff. Oh, mutating ambition policy is like.
Yeah.
What What's mapping to what now? Um,
They call them map, right? Like VAP and map.
Map.
Yeah, anyway,
I think that was it.
yeah.
okay. Like having guidance is good, but like, frankly, I think mutating admission policy in Kubernetes is likely going to operate on different assumptions than gatekeeper mutators have been, which I want to be clear is actually, I think, a good thing, because that means we have a differentiated product. And a lot of the requests that, require expressivity that we don't want to give, a lot of the user requests, because it like compromises value we provide elsewhere, like mutating admission policy will be able to support those behaviors, right? Like modifying arbitrary fields based on predicates that test arbitrary other fields, right? Maybe like mapping values across fields, all the stuff that runs the risk of like non-determinism. And what's the other word for it? Infinite loops. The thing then that we can focus on for us is the fact that, as far as I can tell, ours is the only scalable solution for external data in mutation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very clean line. I like that a lot, actually, because the chances, I view the chances of mutating admission policy reaching out to external data providers, I view that as relatively low because of the cell complexity argument, right? Where they want to have a cost estimate for every function call.
Mm-hmm.
So does that, like, I guess the reason why I went off on that rant is I don't know if we have wisdom to provide map at this point. I could tell you that, and this is a while ago now, I have pointed map developers to like our design docs and also, the various user requests, right? I've pushed them to take a stance on convergence. I think they haven't made an explicit stance, which is in and of itself a stance, right? That it's not a concern for them. Close out given that, or is it more about the gatekeeper side of how it should relate to map?
I mean, I think it's something we should keep track of, like, to maybe add a doc about the differences. Because I can see users asking, right? Like, same with like VAP. So it might be helpful, like whether it's just documentation or actually defining like, hey, are there things that we like gatekeeper needs to work on, or is there something that we could work with the K8s community on? I don't know. So that's why it's a placeholder.
Yeah. I could tell you generator objects and Gator the CLI, reading K8s map objects, probably useful. I think that's the extent of it.
Yeah. So I think this issue was for me was just like, hey, let's remind ourselves we need to look at it, and then see if there's any follow-ups. Yeah.
Oh, and also the communication documentation. Sorry, it's just like that also is useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean to imply not.
Yep. Okay. I think that's enough work for a bit, I think. Does anyone have anything else, or we could get 20 minutes back?
I'll just mention it to make sure the idea doesn't die. The target handler refresh. Don't expect that to be prioritized in the moment, but I still think it's a good idea.
Is that doc in the Google Drive folder? I might have lost the link of it. I think it will be somewhere in the community notes. I need to get a refresher on that.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I kind of lost the thread on the Google Drive folder, but I can put a link to the doc in the meeting notes. Oops. If I don't accidentally start up web analytics or whatever the console is called. Handler refresh. I'm adding it now. All right, there it is. It's in the meeting notes. Cool. Do we want our quarter hour back?
Yeah, if nothing else, we can get them.
Yeah. Maybe work on maybe review your gatekeeper library PRs. Just as a good start.
My one I've authored, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's
Are-
one
are-
you have. Yeah,
Yeah. Are there pending comments that I haven't addressed, or?
probably. I wouldn't.
All right. Well, let's all look at the
I'm not just taking
respective.
I'm not saying you as in Max, I'm saying all of us really. I know I have two PRs that's like stale, so I need to go look at it. And the comments like, well, again, 20 minutes, take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, good to see y'all. Bye.
Good to see you.